You do not lie down inside a hospital. You lie down on a wooden table still dark from the bodies that bled here before you. The air is iron and smoke and old wine, and a sweetness that means a wound somewhere has already turned. Someone presses your shoulders down, not to calm you, but to keep you from running. The man leaning over you is not a doctor, he is a barber. The blade that trimmed a beard at dawn is the same one he lifts now, and nothing in this room was made to let you sleep through what comes next. You have seen this moment 100 times, in paintings and films, in the clean imagination of people who never bled. A quiet room, a steady hand, a patient sleeping, a wound that closes and heals. Forget all of it. That version was made to be looked at. This one was made to be survived. Look around the room before he begins. There is no white here, nothing white at all. Straw thrown on the floor to drink what falls. A wooden bowl to catch what the straw cannot. Flies already gathering, because flies always know first. And faces watching from the edge. An apprentice, a curious neighbor. A boy who will hold the candle closer when he is told. Your worst hour is their lesson. And beneath all of it, the floor keeps its own record. Blood does not stay bright. It goes brown, then black, and sinks into wood that no scrubbing ever reaches. Years of men live in that grain. You are lying above everyone the table has already failed. And soon enough you will be part of what the next one lies above. You picture a man of medicine, someone who studied, who understood, who read the body the way a builder reads a wall. What bends over you instead is a tradesman. He cuts hair, he pulls teeth, he trims beards, he opens veins. Surgery sits at the bottom of his list, because surgery is labor. The educated physician will not touch you. Blood is beneath him. He reads the stars. He studies your urine. He speaks in Latin, and he leaves the knife to lesser hands. So the man who will cut you learned his craft the way a butcher learns his. By watching, by failing, by repeating. No exam ever made him safe, no school ever made him gentle. There is only the count of the ones who lived, and the silence of the ones who did not. And the silence is always longer. Somewhere far from this room better men exist. In Bologna, in Padua, there are those who study the body, who read the old masters, who cut with some reason behind the hand. Their knowledge lived in books carried out of the Arab world, translated, copied, guarded. Albacasis drew the very tools that hang above you now. But knowledge in a book 3 cities away does not reach a village table. You do not get the best of the age. You get the nearest pair of hands that will take the coin, and no one truly knew the country they were cutting into. The inside of a living man was a rumor more than a map. Dissection was rare, half feared, half forbidden. What they knew of the body came from pigs, from apes, from a Greek who guessed 1,000 years before. So the hand that opens you is reading a map drawn by a man who never once saw the land. Before the table there is the arguing. The family stands in the next room and weighs a life against a cost. The wise woman has failed, the prayers have failed. The wound will not close on its own. Someone says the word surgeon the way you say the name of a thing you fear, and the choice is not yours. You are too far gone to vote on your own body by the time the blade is sent for. You imagine the moment was chosen with care, that someone weighed the risk and judged it worth the taking. The truth is you came here because the pain left you nowhere else to go. You waited days, you waited weeks, you prayed, you drank. You let the herbs be pressed into the wound. And only when the body began to rot around the trouble did you let them carry you to the table. Surgery was never the first answer. Surgery was the last door in a house already on fire. You imagine clean steel, something bright, something washed, something kept apart for the body alone. What he lifts is none of that. The blade still carries the mourning on it, hair, grease, the last man. The last wound dried into the joint of the handle. No one tells him to clean it, because no one yet believes in the thing that kills you. The enemy is invisible, and it travels on the metal, and it has all the time in the world. And the idea of washing between is not laziness, it is innocence. No one yet knows there is anything to wash away. The blood on the blade looks like proof of work, not a carrier of death. So the same red film passes from a man who lived to a man about to die. The kindest hands in the room are still the most dangerous thing in it. Look at the tools while you can still stand to. Knives that curve the way a butcher means them to. A saw with teeth set for bone. Hooks to pull the skin back and hold it open. Probes to find the metal still buried in you. A rod waiting in the fire. He carries them rolled in a strip of cloth that has never once been boiled. The same cloth that has soaked up every man who came before you. You imagine sleep, a mercy that takes you under and returns you whole. There is no sleep here. There is wine if the house can spare it, a sponge soaked in something bitter. If the man is old enough to remember the recipe and brave enough to risk it, and a strip of leather for your teeth, so you do not bite through your own tongue when the cutting starts. The only real anesthetic in this room is speed. The faster he works, the less of it you have to feel. Mercy here is measured in seconds. There were those who tried to dull it. A drink they called dwale, hemlock and henbane, and the bile of a boar mixed by guess. Too little and you feel every part of it. Too much and you do not wake again. The line between mercy and murder was a recipe no hand could keep steady. So most barbers skipped the cup entirely and simply learned to cut faster. You do not lie alone. Men stand at your arms and your legs. Strong men, chosen not for skill but for weight, because the body does not agree to be opened. The body fights. The body throws every animal thing it owns at the hands that hurt it. And these men are here to make certain the body loses. And the smallest bodies came here too. A child does not understand why the people who love it are holding it down. It looks to its mother for rescue and finds her helping. That betrayal is a wound of its own, and it never fully closes. The ones who lived remembered the hands more than the blade. Then it begins. And the first thing that surprises you is the sound. Not your own voice, though that comes. The sound of the blade entering meat that does not want it. A low wet parting you feel in your spine before your mind can name it. Pain is too small a word for what arrives next. Pain is a thing that visits. This lives in you and pushes everything else out. There is a particular cruelty in being awake for your own repair. An animal in a trap at least does not understand the trap. You understand everything. You feel the order of it, the cut, the pause, the burn. And your mind stays clear enough to count the steps and beg for the last one. To be conscious was the deepest wound the age could hand you. You imagine a clean line, a limb removed, a stump bound, a soldier walking out on a wooden leg. Amputation is not a line. It is a race against your own blood. The good ones could take a leg in under a minute. Not because speed was elegant, but because every second the wound stayed open was a second nearer to bleeding white on the table. The saw goes through the muscle, and then it finds the bone, and the grinding of it reaches your teeth long before it reaches your ears. You think the blade is the worst of it. It is not. The worst is the closing. They do not stitch a wound like this. They burn it. A rod heated until it glows, laid flat against the raw, open flesh. Or oil brought to a rolling boil and poured down into the wound to seal the bleeding. The smell that floods the room is you, and the scream that floods the room is also you. And the men holding you down only tighten their grip. If you think the knife is the cruelty here, stay with me, because the knife is fast, and the knife is at least honest. The thing that kills most of you is patient and quiet. It waits until the barber has wiped his blade and washed his hands and walked home in the dark. And only then does it begin. Some of you did not come for a wound at all. Some of you came for a stone, a knot of agony grown inside the bladder until you cannot pass water without weeping into your own. Hands. The cure is a blade pushed in below the groin while you are held open and awake and staring at the ceiling. Men walked whole days to reach a stranger known only for being fast. Fast was the entire hope. Fast was the wall between a story you would tell and a hole they would dig. A tooth seems a smaller thing until it is yours. No gentle chair, no kind word. The barber braces your jaw with one hand and sets the iron against the tooth with the other and pulls with the whole weight of his back. Roots break, gums tear. The wrong tooth comes free as often as the right. And the hole left behind will swell and burn for days. Men have died of a tooth. Men have died of the cure for a tooth. Some of you came with a blow to the head. And the answer to a head is a hole. They drill into the skull to let the pressure out, or the bad blood, or the demon they are sure is trapped inside. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the patient wakes and speaks his own name. No one writes down the ones who never speak again. The record keeps the miracles and loses the rest. The blind came too, walking toward the rumor of light. A needle slid into the eye to push the clouded lens down and out of the way. For a few, it gave back a smear of the world, a shape, a face, a door. For many, it gave back nothing but pain, and a darkness now sealed forever. And still they came because hope is the one thing the past never ran short of. And there is one cut no one survives by design. When a birth goes wrong and the child must be taken, the mother is already given up as lost. The blade is for the baby. The woman is the price agreed before the knife is ever drawn. She is awake for the start of it. The room already knows she will not be awake for the end. Now the cutting is done. You are carried home, half emptied of yourself. Your family lights a candle and thanks God and believes the danger has passed. The danger has not passed. The danger has only changed shifts. On the third day, the heat starts. The wound goes red, then yellow, then a color that has no decent name. The skin around it tightens and shines like something ripe. And the smell returns, the same sweetness from the table now rising out of your own body. They see the thick pus and call it laudable. They believe it is the wound healing. It is the wound winning. And when the rot truly takes hold, it does not stay where it began. it climbs. The black creeps up from the wound toward the heart, finger by finger, inch by inch. And the only answer they have is to cut again, higher than before, to chase the dying flesh up the limb until there is nothing left to take. Some men were shortened twice. Some men ran out of limb before the rot ran out of hunger. And pray you were not cut in the warm months. The heat that ripens fruit ripens wounds. Summer fills the sickbeds faster than any winter ever could. The same sun that feels like mercy on your face is feeding the thing inside the cut. The fever takes the whole room. You burn, you shake, you answer questions from people who are not there, and no one blames the blade. The stars are blamed, the night air is blamed, your own sins are counted back to you like a bill. The one thing in the room that actually did this cannot be seen, so it is never named. You die not of the operation, but of everything the open wound invited in. And a priest is never far from the table, not to heal you but to be ready for the moment healing fails. He waits in the corner with the oil and the words kept for the end. And you learn to read your chances in how near he stands. When the praying grows louder than the instruction, you already have your answer. And even if the fever breaks, the body does not simply return. A wound like this heals slow and crooked if it heals at all. Weeks on your back, months before the limb that is left will hold you. Muscle wasting, skin pulling, a stump that aches in weather for the rest of a shortened life. You do not bounce back in the past. You survive downward, into a smaller version of the man you were. Understand what they believed was happening inside you. Not infection, not invisible armies, not the small living things we now know by name. They believed the body held 4 fluids and that all sickness was only an imbalance. Too much blood was the usual verdict. So they bled you, already cut, already weak, already draining onto the floor, and still they open a vein to take more, until the treatment and the disease are doing the same work from opposite ends, and the cutting itself waited on the sky. There were days you must not open a man, and days the stars were said to allow it. Each part of the body answered to a sign. You do not bleed the head when the moon is said to rule the head. So your suffering was timed not to your need, but to a chart upon the wall. The calendar decided your mercy long before the barber did, and no one in the room may question the method. The old authorities settled medicine 1,000 years before you were born, and to doubt them is pride. If the patient dies, the books were right and the body was wrong. The theory is never the thing on trial, only you are. And here the oldest divide comes back into the room. The cutting is the same for everyone. The surviving is not. If you are poor, you are opened in a back room and laid in a bed you share with 3 other bodies. The same air, the same fever passing hand to hand in the dark. If you are rich, the same barber climbs a cleaner stair. Your wound is wrapped in fresh linen. Your fever is watched through the night by servants who can be spared to sit awake. The knife does not care which one you are. The recovery cares about nothing else. Infection knocks on every door. It stays longest where the bed is crowded and the bread is thin. And none of this was given freely. The barber must be paid in coin or grain or labor owed. A poor family can spend a season of bread on one afternoon of cutting. And if the patient dies, the debt does not. You can bury a father and still owe the man who failed to save him. Pain was expensive and grief arrived with a bill. The man who did this to you lived on the thin edge of respect. Useful enough to send for when the pain came screaming. Low enough to look past once it quieted. He was guildsman and outcast in the same skin. His hands carried the trade everywhere he went. Knives, saws, hooks, probes rolled in cloth. Tools that doubled as a butcher's tools, because no firm line yet stood between meat and medicine. And the boy holding the candle will hold the blade one day. He learns the trade the way you learn a tongue you were born inside. No calling, no choosing. His father cut, and his father cut before him. And the screaming becomes ordinary to him the way rain becomes ordinary. That is the quietest horror in the room. Someone has to grow used to this. And nowhere did the work turn uglier than after a battle. Hundreds of bodies opened by steel and laid in rows that did not end. The surgeon moves down the line, cutting, binding, burning, deciding in the space of a breath who might be saved and who belongs now to the priest. He does not clean between men. He does not have the time to clean between men. One apron, one saw, one long red afternoon that runs into night, and some men chose the rot instead. They looked at the table and the leather and the glowing rod and decided the disease was the kinder death. And who is to say they judged it wrong? When the cure is held down and burned awake, refusing the cure can look a great deal like sense, and yet some of you live. That is the strange and stubborn truth that kept the whole trade breathing. A strong body, a fast hand, a wound clean enough by luck and a little more luck stacked on top. And you walk out with a scar and a story. and a fear of that sweet smell that will never fully leave you. The ones who lived became the advertisement. The ones who died became the silence. And no painting was ever made of the silence. This is why you grew up with the gentle picture, the calm room, the wise healer, the sleeping patient, the wound that simply closes. Because the truth was never a thing anyone could sell. No church, no guild, no grieving family wanted to keep the memory of the table, the leather, the burning, the rot. So they saved the heroism and they buried the horror. The clean version did not survive because it was true. It survived because the real one was unbearable to hold. And if you do not live, there is no pause in the world for it. The table is wiped, the straw is changed, the next body is already at the door. Someone has been waiting in pain all day for the place you are leaving. Your death does not close the room, it only frees the table. So when you picture the past, do not begin with the cure. Begin with the table still dark from the last body. Begin with the barber drying his blade against an apron that has never been washed. Begin with the wine, the leather, the held arms, the counting of seconds. Medicine did not start in a bright, clean room. It started here, in the smell and the screaming and the long wait to learn whether the wound would. Close before the body gave out. And the distance between that table and the one you would lie on tomorrow is the distance the whole human story has crossed. Measured not in years, but in every invisible thing we finally learned to wash away.